And actually sent to provide the rescue, because the master of the vessel had asked for the fuel, because the fuel which had been on board that got exhausted. So in order to actually continue the passage to Salalah, which was still short by about 100 nautical miles, the master requested the company that they must provide the fuel, but they had not been able to do so. Instead, they decided to send a tug so that that ship should be towed to Salalah. But unfortunately, tug did arrive on the scene, but it had not been able to do the needful, because it also developed a defect in herself. So having waited for almost 2 days, they kept on making an effort to actually rectify the defect in the tug, and so that it should be able to accomplish the task. But it did not manage to actually overcome the problem. And then again the master, he actually...
And I believe the weather also became very bad, and the ship started listing, and probably the captain of the vessel decided that he will have to abandon ship. So he sent a SOS.
I may actually add over here, I think this is a monsoon season, and we normally tend to have a very strong southwesterlies in this part of the world where this whole operation was going on, and the sea conditions are invariably very rough, and it is not possible that if the ship is not being made to actually steam, or it is not being towed, and if it is not underway, then you tend to have a very severe sea weather effects. So after having seen that there is no solution to the problem which was being faced, again the master of the vessel, he had approached, he sent the SOS message requesting the Navy that the people on board, the human being and the crew on board must be evacuated. So once this request had been made to the Pakistan Navy, reportedly the Navy approached the owner of the vessel, and this whole scenario had been actually put across to him, but unfortunately he did not respond. So after having seen that the situation is getting bad to worse, then the Chief of Naval Staff, he decided to actually evacuate the crew on board the ship.
On humanitarian grounds?
On humanitarian, definitely, because it ought to be on the humanitarian grounds, because it did not involve the personnel of the Pakistan only, but it also had the Egyptian and Indians and the Sri Lankans. So having seen that there is no way out, that the situation can be actually...
So they boarded the PNS Babar and later were shifted to another frigate.
Another frigate, because
Zulfikar.
Zulfikar was that being the case, because Babar had been actually assigned a task.
It's part of the CTF 150.
151. So the ship had to go back, because you see it had been made to affect a rendezvous somewhere close to the Gulf of Aden, and now they had moved upward towards Salalah in the north. The ship had already traversed about 200 nautical miles. So it was considered pertinent in the naval headquarters, because it makes a lot of operation sense that instead of telling that ship to actually bring the crew to Karachi and making that ship to be away from her place of tasking, might well send another ship, and that ship should be made to actually return back to the assigned area.
Right.
So then the Zulfikar had been sent. The whole
and
of the
Zulfikar is docking today,
yeah,
inshallah.
It is likely to be
right.
arriving somewhere 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
So, Tariq Pirzada Sahab, how do you look at this whole grisly episode, of course, from the Somali pirates' point of view, from the Indians' point of view, but the humanitarian assistance provided by Pakistan and this mission of mercy by Pakistan Navy?
There are 3-4 things that have to be looked at. A, that Pakistan Navy has a role to play in several areas. And that's why I always take the position that Navy must be strengthened, its surface and subsurface force must be expanded. And this event actually clarifies that point. Number one, that the piracy is an ongoing phenomenon. It's not going to end anytime soon, number one. So the Navy's role will continue in on many occasions. I cannot pin down what occasion, but anything can happen anytime. So Navy has to be ready for that role. Number two, the Americans did not play their role at all. That was so unreasonable that a country with such a huge force are deployed in the area, the maritime assets, and they did not take any action. They were, as we were talking off the camera with Admiral, that the U.S. has a large force deployment in Djibouti, which is right where the exit of the Red Sea is into the Arabian Sea.
Besides the Americans, the European Union naval force in Somalia is present, and in fact, once the SOS signals, when the MV Suez was being captured by being attacked by the Somali pirates, it gave out a SOS message, and the European Union naval arm sent a helicopter. But it was too late. Already the pirates had boarded the ship.
Everybody was waiting for somebody to react first. So it is great that we took a high moral ground. We went there, we rescued them. But the other lesson is this, that the Indian Navy is a challenge to Pakistan. Look, on a moral issue of this kind, in which the Indians should have shared every bit of the way, they actually placed hurdles, tried to threaten the Navy in a manner that was so hostile actually, and had it been any other environment, it could have led to any kind of situation. So because Pakistan Navy was focused on the moral side, that issue never came up. But in any other setting, the Pakistan Navy would have had to take some position. So I say that our assets, the way they are, our subsurface assets, as far as the surface assets, they need to be expanded. Pakistan Navy is an underfunded force like all the forces in Pakistan. I, being a civilian, say that because if you're looking at the environment in which we are living in the Arabian Sea.
Advocate Tariq Pirzada, besides being an advocate, it appears now you are a good advocate for the case of the Pakistan Navy. But point taken, the Pakistan Naval Force must be built up. However, Admiral, how do you look at this mission of mercy? Because this is remarkable.
I think it is a tremendous job done by the Navy. Response had been very spontaneous, very professional. The assessment of the situation had been made thoroughly in a professional manner. And I think the whole credit of the success of this mission goes to the Pakistan and its leadership. I think it is a fabulous job done.
And of course, Sultan Bernie and Dr. Ashraf did play a role. And coming up with that money, that was very key. The whole rescue mission would not have taken place if the release had not taken place.
And they kept on negotiating with the Somalis, because you see, you are never sure about the pirates. They could always,
very unpredictable.
Take away some human lives also just to prove a point. After all, they are pirates. So they kept the communication line open. They also were providing solace to the families and giving them hope that something is being done.
And you see another aspect which is so important, which should not be actually lost sight of. There had been only 4 members of the crew which were of a Pakistan nationality. Look at the effort which the Pakistan as a nation made in order to get the whole of the crew of the MV Suez free. In a sense, you see, they actually advocated for each and everything, to the extent even they meted the same treatment to the Indians.
Absolutely. And look at under what conditions we are in. We are having an economic crisis. We are fighting a war against terror. We are having, political squabbles. But in all that, I think this was a major ray of hope that we managed this thing.
And I think this also tends to reflect the strength of this nation. Absolutely. Because how did they gel to the call when chips were down and everything got together, and they, each and every organization and the agency, the civilian, they did their bit, and the Navy did their bit. And I think through the collective effort on the part of the whole of Pakistan, we had been able to get our people back. And I think this is a great
and not only
moment
our people,
for the
the
country.
people from Egypt, from India and Sri Lanka. But you see, Advocate Tariq Pirzada, 3 events are occurring on today's date. Besides the rescue of the crew of MV Suez. We are having the India-Pakistan talks. And of course, it has been said that this incident about the Godavari will probably not reflect on those talks. Last night, President Obama announced his program of getting the evacuation of US troops from Afghanistan. So in a way, they are interrelated. Do you think so?
Well, all these things are happening in a day, and that makes it a very unique day. A great moral high ground by Pakistan, a great diplomatic engagement taking place in Islamabad between India and Pakistan, and that must actually produce some results. It's been a period of 64 years, and we have been talking about it, and we have been hearing that, you see, these issues cannot be resolved in a day, but more than half a century has already passed. So we don't want to waste another half a century. So this day must be used with a positive note, that while the incident of the rescue of Indian citizens has taken place with the help of Pakistan, the Indians got to appreciate that. Number three, when it comes to the withdrawal from Afghanistan, the US is not doing its job. They are still not consulting Pakistan as much as they should. They are trying to keep Germany in limelight, to keep the status of a country that is far from being connected with the whole issue. Pakistan has to stay focused on the issue of Taliban, and the United States should not ignore it. Right now, that is the case.
You see, another aspect which...
actually, we are coming to the end of this program, so if you could just give your closing comments.
I would say that the presence of the ship in that area, especially the Gulf of Aden, that is a very, very important actually disposition or the deployment which the Pakistan Navy has made. And I think this episode tends to vindicate the Navy's position, which has been there all the time, notwithstanding whether they had been able to do a thing in the past or not, that the situation may arise where Navy may be required to actually to be called upon to actually tackle a situation or scenarios like this. And I think we should continue to be a part and parcel of that very deployment, because I think that area is very important to us. And I personally feel whatever the Navy did and the way the Navy did, and I think it has really brought a lot of actually good name to the Navy and to its professionalism.
Point taken. So viewers, we come to the end of the discussion on this very wonderful episode, because as both our participants have said that Pakistan is on the high moral ground. Pakistan not only raised the amount of ransom for all the naval sailors who were abducted by the Somali pirates, but Pakistan Navy came to the rescue and has escorted back the sailors to the safe grounds of Pakistan. But the important thing is that the element of piracy needs to be tackled, and in a future program we will probably talk about it, how to tackle it, because it's in this day and age of communication we should be able to tackle it very effectively. I would like to thank you, Admiral Shahid Iqbal. I would like to thank you, Advocate Tariq Pirzada, and viewers, keep watching us and send us your comments. Hope to see you next week, inshallah. Allah Hafiz.